Morning all. Let's see if it's working today. I see Spabby's around. Hi Gary. Wonder if this is actually rendering. Yes, I can see a raised hand, so clearly the stream is working. In my vague attempt to cope with this whole performance issue, I'm in performance mode in OBS, so I can't see the whole OBS, SLOBS, the whole OBS thing going, so it's all blank to me. Tea. Has everyone got their tea? Got to have some tea, haven't we, in the morning? Right. I thought I'd play with today if I can talk the computer to behave itself, which may or may not happen, is I thought we would do some rst to PDF work. This is the issues list. It'd be quite nice to hit 1.0. I was going to say this year, but that might be a little optimistic, but I kind of feel like we should be getting close to 1.0 now. We're at 0.98 and we're going to hit 0.99 and 0.100, 0.101, etc. And whilst that's allowed, rst to PDF is a 14, 15-year-old project now. It still hasn't reached 1.0. I think really we should try to do that, don't you? So we're getting close, I think. There's a few issues on here where I think we have a label for it, don't we? Is that how you get at labels? Sorted by label. Oh, maybe we don't have a label. Maybe it's done by milestone. Filter by milestone 1.0. Yeah, there we go. So a few milestones. And a few labels, items on the milestone. And interestingly, it looks like we've got a number of duplicates here, because the one I was interested in doing isn't on this list. I thought it would be quite interesting. So that item there, number 864, syncs builds despite errors. So what's happening on this one is that when you run rst2pdf, or syncs in this case, to create your PDF file, if there's an error, you can't tell in the from the command line or from bash. And I think I created, 886. There we go. See also 886. So clearly, oh, that's the wrong one. Yeah, that's the ticket I was looking at. Obviously, I opened this, hence this one I found more quickly, because the title represents the name that I think makes the most sense. So rst to PDF should return non-zero on failure. It's not too hard to create a failure, so let's see if we can reproduce this and see if we can do some work to make this fixed. How do we do that? Here's rst to PDF. So let's work in a spare directory. cd temp t. There's loads of stuff in my temp directory. Is anything in t? No, t is empty. Pyenv local rst2pdf tox. I haven't really got a handle on the way Python environments work. Python's quite an old language in a lot of ways, and the way dependencies and avoiding, what's what I'm looking for, the interactions and the conflicts between various packages that you've got installed appears to be done through virtual environments, and I'm not very good at using them. But rst2pdf-tox is an rst2pdf environment. Sorry, it's a virtual environment for my rst2pdf that seems to work for me. So if I do -version, it should tell me that we're on 0.8 or something like that, hopefully. 0.99. Oh, that makes sense because I'm on master, I suspect. Yes, so git log minus one line. Oh, that's nice by one line. Minus 20, say. Yeah, and I am a few ahead of 0.98. So 0.98 came out here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, a good few releases ahead now of 0.98. So hence I'm on 0.99 by the magic of the package that does automatic versioning based on your version control software. That's quite cool. Let's create an RST file to convert. Touch test.rst. Vim test.rst. What's my RST? Yes, I've still got that bug in my .vim around my RST modes, which I really must fix at some point. So this is a test. Let's put some lorem ipsum in. There we go. And then that should build for us. So rst to pdf, test.rst to pdf. Is it minus over output? Test.pdf. I usually use a makefile with my use for rst to pdf because I do it mostly for creating presentations. I have a makefile and I usually use that. I don't often use it directly off the command line like this. So now I've got a test.pdf. So let's open that pdf like that. And we should, assuming it all goes well, have a PDF file. We don't need the Adobe one open there. Not very exciting, but most definitely a PDF file nicely rendered from my RST file. So let's open it again. Start.st. And let's make an error in it. Image colon foo.jpg. There you go. Insert the foo.jpg image. That might actually work. There might be a fallback on that, thinking about it. Let's have a look. Oh no, we do get an error because it's not image, it's image, image. So img is invalid directive, hence we get error 3. So if how do I see the previous command's return value? It's $, something, isn't it? $0? Can't remember. Let's look that up. G bash view return code from last command. Completely and utterly forgotten. And nobody in chat can remember either. Oh, there we go. $? So if we echo $? We get 0 back, which is wrong. 0 is a successful command. And rst to pdf has clearly failed. So it shouldn't have set the return code to 0. Well, that's the plan. Let's try and fix that. Anyone got any guesses on how on earth we do that? So if we can create a branch to start with. When in doubt, procrastinate. Git checkout -b. What was the version? What was the ticket? 886. 886. Set turn code on. There we go. Okay, so I wonder how we do that. Here's PyCharm. Let's see what's going on. Where do you think it'll be? rst to pdf is where all our source code is. PDF Builder, I think, is one of the entry points. think that's the main entry point. Init.py is probably where it defines that, so let's start there. No, that doesn't appear to do anything interesting. Import lib metadata, sets a version, and does nothing else, so it's clearly not that. I wonder why and how it knows about PDF Builder. Pretty sure it's the actual, there's all the adding the config variables. Oh no, it's not PDF Builder. PDF Builder is the Sphinx one, isn't it? If I remember correctly. Yeah, that's the Sphinx one. Must be, I'm thinking of Create PDF. Create PDF. There you go. Name is main sysv args. So this is clearly an entry point because we pass through the data to sysv arg. Sysv arg v. Arg v is always the variable name for the arguments passed on the command line. Comes from C. Don't know if it was before C because C was the first language. It was, well, back in the day we called that a high-level language. So argv and argc, which is a count. It's a count and the variables that will pass to your application. But clearly Python has continued that that convention. So I think one of complicated words, isn't it? Okay, so it must be a main function. Let's have a look. Here's a main function. Pass command line, call create PDF with the correct data. Here's where we do the work. Ah, look at that. Sysexit 0. So presumably a sysexit 1 will give us an error code. So let's test that. That's on the version. So let's put a number in there. 5. Sysexit 5. rst2pdf -- version. Probably. Run that, 0.99. And if you look in my iTerm, you see that little red triangle just there? Maybe you can see it. I do need to buy a new computer. It is on the list. We have got that far. I just consider this normal, but clearly you think this is too slow. Or maybe it's all stuttering. Maybe that's what you don't like. On the flip side, I write really performant code nowadays, which I might not do if I had the latest supercomputer. But yeah. But yes, it's hard to argue that this is getting long in the tooth. It takes 5 seconds for -- version to return. Yeah, this isn't my code. That's my excuse. I'm impressed you timed it, but you're probably right. So if I do echo $? It is actually faster if I'm not running OBS in my very, very tiny defense. We get that sys exit of 5 out. So clearly that is how we do it. So we go put one of them when it fails. How does it fail? Anyone got any ideas? Here's where we're doing the work. Oh, look. Oh, that's interesting. Sometimes it does send a correct exit. So if we get a failure where the arguments is greater than 2, we'll get a sysexit of 1. That'll work. Now let's go back to that one. So if you do test.rst2pdf twice, is it error? I did not know that. It does as well, look at that. Got to admit, in terms of user experience, printing out the line of the source code line that it have .1600 to create PDF isn't a great look, is it? Also, that critical is a bit poor. So there's a fairly strong argument that we should fix things like that as well, and that. So log critical obviously logs it. Sys argv of 0 is the name of our application, which is what it's put in there. So, no, I don't. That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? That is a little bit rubbish. The log, that should not be a log critical, that should be a print or something like that. Ditto that one. And that one. However, when we get down here, oh look, we've got an IO error. That's this one. Why do I actually do the work? File name. I kind of think the log shouldn't come out unless you do -v. You shouldn't be using log otherwise. There's something there we need to look at. If file name ends with text or rst, the out file is a file name. Subtract the extension. That's presumably what that does. That's quite a neat construct for saying, take off the last 4 characters of this string. It's quite neat, I quite like that. And add.pdf. So you do rst2pdf test.rst, it'll automatically create the test.pdf. Useful. Down we go, more stuff. You can't help but feel this could be refactored. You are using report lab version something. The suggested version is 3 or higher. That shouldn't be difficult because I think pip show pipe grep report. Let's have a look. No, it's not grep shot. Pip list maybe. List pipe grep report. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so we're on 3.5 now, so less than 3 is quite old. Add the extensions. Here we go. Oh look, rst2pdf is clearly where we actually do the work. So we instantiate an rst2pdf object, and then we call create PDF on it, which actually does the work, and then we close the file. And because this is Python, there's no closing braces, but we've unindented for this line where it says ugly hack. So clearly we sysexit here with 0. So really this should do something like sysexit return code. And then we should do return code equals. I wonder if the convention is camel case or snake case. Add underscore extensions, patch underscore digester. I'm going to do underscore, I think. Maybe snake is more common. Yeah, look at that. Options, background, fit mode is all snake case. Footnote, backlinks, snake case. So let's keep the convention of snake case. It's Python, definitely. Snake case. Yes, that is fairly logical, Gary. You are right. You are not wrong there in the slightest. Obviously, Python snakes. Even though Python was named after Monty Python, not the snake. Even though they nicked it the snake for their logo. I hope you've all got a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you're drinking. That's definitely the way to go when you're coding. Right, so now I've set return code here. Clearly, create PDF needs to now return the return code that I want to actually exit. See, oh look, so there's a log error. So we could return 1 like that. Go down. Any other returns? This is another really long function, isn't it? Carry on down. Value error. We've raised an error. Bet that fails badly anyway. And that's the end of the function, which presumably is this level. Problem with Python is this function is so long. Yes, it is. That I've lost track of my indentations. But yeah, go back there, return 0. Oh, it doesn't like that. Oh, it's one dent too many, that level. There we go, return 0. Now, if we're going to detect and return a -1, how are we going to do it? The obvious way, this code isn't returning any errors further else. So we've had an error here. Was it this one? Yeah, this one. Test unknown directive error /3. Where's that unknown directive come from? That's come from -v. Maybe it'll give us more info. I'm wondering if I can hook into the log. That's a bit messy though. No, you get. Oh, hang on. We've got to fix the command line. So there we go. It threw an error around line 657. They're starting build. Well, that's slightly after. So it's slightly after, slightly before 657 of create pi. 657. So that's here. There's that starting build. So we must have created the elements up here. There's elements. Oh goodness me, there's a lot of code in it. Elements, here we go, doc tree. The dot tree is none, text is none. There, publish the dot tree. It's probably there that it's throwing an error. To guess. And let's put log in and find out. Log here. About to create doc. About to publish. About to call. Publish doc tree. This is only for me testing, so I'm going to put my initials at the beginning because that'll hopefully make it a little bit easier to find. Let's have a look at that. No, I don't see it there, so it's not in that code path. So it must have a dot tree. Where did it get the dot tree from? Ah, maybe it did it in the constructor. There's a constructor at the top. Here's a constructor. Init, that sounds like a constructor name, doesn't it? It's an impressive number of parameters passed into constructor. Debug lines PDF, that does. There's the clever quotes. Whole load of setting up, assigning local variables. So do things, register some directives, some languagey stuff, and that looks like the end. Didn't see anything obvious that made me think, oh, that's how we do the parsing, like you. That's the end there. Okay, a finished construction. Let's see if that's in the right place. Or, of course, my debugging is not working. Maybe debug isn't displayed by -v. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? Let's change that to info. Maybe that'll help. Anyone got any thoughts? There we go. RKA, finished construction. So this online directive thing is happening after, so it's definitely happening in the create PDF. Create PDF. It's definitely happening in here. Maybe it is happening in this publish here. There. Let's put that back then. About to publish tree. Let's try there. Of course, had I been clever. Done with this dot tree. That would make more sense if we're trying to bracket it. Yeah, there we go. It's definitely happening inside there. So, did that return something? Or, more accurately, let's look up what publish.tree does and see if it'll tell us if an error happens. Oh, that's interesting. Look at that. Def publish.tree has got an enable exit status is false. Set and run a publisher for programmatic use with string IO. Return the document tree. Is that the entire documentation? Returns pub.document. That's unhelpful. I'm going to set that. I wonder what the formatting is for Python functions. True. I don't want it really long like that. And I guess formatting. I wonder if PyCharm knows how to format. No, it doesn't object to that. I asked it on separate lines. Let's see what's going on. Wonder why that's got a yellow background. That normally means it's unhappy about something. Oh no, it's happy enough. It's just running slow. I fully expect to hear something from Spabby later about my development environment. Right, so I'm going to do that. Now I reckon now this exit status will be set. But what we really need to do is find out what it's set to. So I wonder if we can read it. %s. What was it? It was something or other, wasn't it? Did I not write it down? Did I not copy it? Oh, it did. This dot, no? Exit. This is line 546. Sys.exit, there it is. 546. Trouble is, that's going to do an exit. I don't want to do that, so let's Google for it. Python. Read sys.exit value. Yeah, see what Mr. Google thinks. exit codes. What do we reckon? We've got message saying returned exit code 0. This does not look helpful, but let's go to sysexit. Sysexit. Exit from Python. This is function is implemented by raising the sys exit exception, so clean up actions specify. Since exit only raises an exception, it will only exit the process when called from the main thread and the exception is not intercepted. I don't see a way to read the exit value though. So let's think this through. Let's try. Let's actually, how about we read the documentation for published doc tree? Doc utils published doc tree. Surely they've got some better docs. I mean, it's a doc utils project. It's all about documentation, so you would expect it's got relatively good documentation for itself. And you'd be wrong. Surely there's more doc. What? No, come on. It's got to be better than that. Doc utils, publish doc tree, enable exit. What's the thing called? Enable exit status. Got to be more information than that, surely. Yes, I probably did mean that. There aren't too many. Ah, I did not mean that. I was right the first time. Google was wrong this. Examples, maybe that will help. Maybe. Look at that. rst2pdf bug there in the Debian bug tracker. No, it's set to none, that's unhelpful. Let's just run it and see what happens. We're going to end up in the source code here, aren't we? Oh, that's interesting. It errored and the function stopped. The echo is still 0, that's rubbish. So, I think enable exit status causes it to finish directly because we didn't get my log info after it, that RKA done with published doc tree. That's now no longer in our output. But rather unhelpfully, the sysexit value is still 0. Now that's set to false, so that implies it's a true-false value. I wonder if we can find the source code for published doc tree. Let's see. Look, this is the source code for published doc tree. PyM version, it's already dropped into the relevant global virtual env package for me. Isn't PyCharm clever? I thought this was a stub, but it's not, because it's a third-party library. So we should be able to search on it. Let's do that. Here we go. Output. Output equals pub publish. Enable exit status equals, so it goes into publish. I guess what's in there. There's publish. Enable exit status. Exit is none. Blah 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 blah. Right, if you get system X, if whatever this does fails, you'll set the exit status to exit to 1 and exit status to error.code. Exit status to 1 and exit. And then there we go. We set sysexit of exit status. So how is this not working? Logically, it must be this line here. The error code must be 0 in this scenario. Should we try and do something clever? Do you think we can do something clever on this computer? That is a question in and of itself, isn't it? Let's try step debugging. Not that. There we go. Shift. Not Shift. Command F8 will put my debugging, my step debugging. This looks like it needs configuring. Let's edit the configuration and see what we can do. Clearly done this before, and it does it for Pi 2. We no longer support Pi 2, so that's going to have to be fixed. Let's give it a new name. Debug in rst2pdf-tox. And let's see if we can find. Oh, it doesn't know about rst2pdf-tox, so we need to find the Python interpreter as well. How do you do that? Right, script path is, oh, that's it's not there. Right, so where's rst2pdf? It's in versions, tox, in. It should be in here somewhere. There it is. So there's the binary I want to run, the script. The parameters I want to pass in. Don't want data environment. Don't want minus v doesn't hurt. We're doing test.rst like that. We don't want any of the others. And our working directory is users rob user/rob temp-t. But we don't want that Python interpreter, so let's apply that and go and find out where you set the Python interpreters. Must have done it before, so presumably it's in preferences. Languages and frameworks. Doesn't look promising. Build, execution, and deployment. Build tools. Don't see anything obvious there, do you? Tools. Nope, not there. Project. Python interpreter, there we are. And there's that list. Presumably, if I click there, I can add one. So let's add a new environment. New environment. Locations. Base interpreter. Is Python 8. So you put, I see, virtual envs. Maybe we've got tox in here. Or maybe it's completely empty. But you'd thought there'd be something in there though, wouldn't you? I wonder why that's empty. Oh, maybe it's not in virtual envs. Maybe it's because we put it in .py. .pyenv, don't we? Oh dear, that's the right button. There we go. Where's is it that? Yeah, that one. Shift Command Dot will display all the hidden files in your open dialogues or your Finder or something like that. Quite helpful. There's pyenv. Maybe it's in here. There we go. It's in here. And that's the one we want. Tox in Python 3. And, oh, that's interesting. I thought that would update that. I thought that would have done pyenv versions. Environment location directory. Oh, this is creating an environment. That's no, it's an existing environment we need. There it is. Look. Aha. No point in making it available to all projects. Do that. There we go. It's now found rst2pdf tox. Apply. You can definitely tell this is a stream and not a polished presentation as I flail around inside the tools. Right, let's edit our configuration again. Oh, why won't it let me edit my configuration now? No idea why it won't let me. Oh, it's because it's indexing still. Presumably you can't edit configurations if it is doing some indexing stuff. So let's just hit the debug button and see what happens. One of the relatively nice things about using the JetBrains tools is that they all work basically the same way. So I recently set up step debugging in Goland based off clearly what I'd learnt in here. And now I'm taking that back again. But that didn't stop. You see that? It just went all the way through and didn't exit. And I was expecting it to stop on that breakpoint, but it clearly didn't, which implies that either this environment is wrong, which is definitely possible, or that one literally isn't the right place. So let's put breakpoint there and see if it works on that breakpoint, or whether we really do need to mess with environments more. So I definitely had step debugging working before. Oh, there we go. So there we go. We stopped at this line log info, which is why it's gone dark blue. So I can step over that. And if I click on console, you'll see that it's now printed out that line. Go back to the debugger though, and let's step into here. F7 is step into. There we go, publisher. Now carry on step debugging. Just jumping over each thing. And at some point I'm hoping it's going to exit for us. Not so far though. Error output. So, let's F8 over that. Carry on through those. Right, yeah, so we do hit pub.publish. Let's step into pub.publish. Oh, well, that's interesting. This is the wrong core.py file. Because this is the one in py3 and we're actually in -tox. Okay, so that's why it didn't break the point where we thought it would. Okay, so we set exit to none. We're going to try. Settings is none. We're going to set IO. Now we're going to read the file. So self.source is the actual source itself. You can see there test with the underline. So that's a string from it's obviously read the RST file into a string. Here's the parser we're going to use, and there's some settings, presumably. All of the interesting settings. I'm going to F8 over the reader, and it didn't throw an error. That's interesting. So far it's happy with that. In the console, it's generated an error. That's interesting. So what's happened there is, although we've set enable exit status, the reader has read the source code, our RST file, parsed it, detected there was an error in it important enough to log, but not thrown an exception. So I reckon that self.settings needs to be set for something. Let's see what self.settings has got in it. There's self. There's settings. There's settings. So exit status level. I wonder if we need to set exit status level less than 5. I bet 5 is critical. Because here, this says error /3. I reckon info is 2, debug is 1. So I reckon that exit status level of 5 means unless it's a critical error, it's going to attempt to carry on. Now the question is, should this failure actually cause the PDF not to be created? It's a bit strict. DocUtils itself says that if you misspell your parameter, your directive, we'll warn you about it and then just carry on as if you didn't mean to do it. I don't know, I kind of think that we should. I kind of think we should throw the net. We should actually exit on that. Okay, so let's try again. Run that again. It was this line here. F8 on that. Let's run it. I should look up the keyboard shortcut for that bug symbol. F9. Jump to here. Now self.settings. Do you reckon we can edit it directly in here? Let's try doing that first. There's settings. Let's try and edit that error status level. No, it doesn't look like. Can we edit it? Set the value. There we go. Look at that. Let's set that to 3. Okay. Oh, hasn't made a blind bit of difference. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, so let's set it manually. I'll take this file anyway. Self.settings. What was it? Of course, the variable's gone now, isn't it? Settings. It must be up here at the top. No, they're on here. You just assign some to settings. Any object containing DocUtils settings or as an instance set by self-process line or self-get settings. F12 get settings. That doesn't help. Oh, there you go. Look, there's a get default values. Let's look that up. Self.defaults. At the top of this file, do you think? look like it. Okay, let's try that. Let's do that again. Check local history. I don't. How do I get local history? Oh, you mean no? Because I didn't. Anyway, hey Phyllis, my manners there. I don't have a local history here, so because I didn't jump into the file. Oh, that's going to throw an error because I didn't edit. I've edited the file, haven't I? Why did I edit it? To do self.settings.something, but we can't remember what it is. So let's comment that out. Let's run it again. What's that shortcut? Control D. Let's have a look. Flailing around, not knowing what I'm doing. Right. Self. Settings. Exit status level. Not there. There. Exit status level equals 3. That's what we want. Command F2. Save. Control D. Why is it Control D, not Command something? Run it again. Right, so we see it actually changed it. This is how confident I'm not. Self settings. Exit status level is now 3. Yay, I can edit a file. F8. No, it's carried on as well. I would never have guessed that. Run it again and let's step through some more code. I got so into this and my tea's gone cold. That's a fail, isn't it? Right, okay, let's jump into this function and have a look. Right, so there we set the settings. There we read the input. Then we call parse. Parse creates a new document by the looks of it. New document does something. Let's go for that. And then we call self.parser.parse. Jump into there. Set up the parser. Set up some sort of state machine. Read the input lines. Run the state machine. So that obviously does the work. Just getting deep into. Sure is a fresh coffee. Ken's got coffee. Hey Ken. I would be jealous, but I prefer a cup of tea anyway. So I will drink coffee, particularly if it's made by someone else who makes it better than I do. We don't want to create the memo. Here's our document. Let's run the state machine. Then we get the results. State machine is run. And then we finish the parsing. Then we end up back out here. If we exit, edit, and we've already printed out our error. So that idea didn't work. Let's try another idea. So we want to set exit status level. So let's see what exit status level does in DocuTools. It's done there. If enable exit status needs to be set, and the document reporter max level is greater than or equal to the exit status level. So there's something called enabled exit status. Where the hell did that come from? Oh, there, it's publish. So in here, we call publish.tree. Yeah, we've enabled exit status. Not that one again. Back to, yeah, we have enabled exit status. It's not that. Let's put a breakpoint here and see if it gets called. Run again. Probably don't need that breakpoint now. Get to here. Yes, we get to here. I wonder what self.settings is at this point. Exit status level is still 3. So enable exit status is true. Self.document is a thing. It's an object of some form. Self.document reporter.max level is 3. Self.settings is greater than 3. Okay. Oh, you know, it did work. Why did you tell me it worked? So I'm looking this way because I'm looking at the chat. It worked. Look, it's going to call self-exit. Why add 10 to it? What a stupid thing to do. So if I F9, the console has finished with exit code 13. So, right, how do we do this properly? Let's get rid of that. Here. Yeah, see, in my ignorance, I assumed that self-reader read would throw an exception if we set this, and hence we'd end up going down this code. It doesn't work like that at all, it just goes down into this if statement further down. I kind of feel like if you're going to use exceptions to handle your error handling, then you should use exceptions everywhere and not do a bit of procedural stuff as well. But what do I know? Okay, so we've got to set settings. We obviously got, oh dear, it's the wrong key. We've got to set settings, and we can't do it there, so we need to set settings somewhere else. Oh look, settings overrides looks promising. I wonder what that does. Self-process command line, settings override. I wonder if we can go here. We publish .tree here. Oh look, we've already got settings overrides, which is set here. This is very strangely formatted, isn't it? So we set settings overrides, language code to that, or we set it to an empty, that looks like a dictionary of some form, doesn't it? And then we do settings override. Now we use square brackets. Strip elements with classes. So let's have a look at what that looks like. This is where my Python's not good enough to know what's going on. But there must be a settings overrides. It is a dictionary, and it's got language code set to EN, which is off that. It's got strip elements with classes set to none, presumably because that is set to none. Well, I reckon what we can do then, not that. Let's copy that. What do we call it? Enable exit status equals 3. You'd think we could do that, wouldn't you? I think we could do that here as well. Not command that. Yeah, we could do that. Or maybe that line's too long as a result now. 101 characters. Maybe there's a line limit in PEP 8. Yeah, I bet that's what that is. It does that instead. Okay, let's try that. So now we're going to set the settings override to enable exit 3. And let's go back to the command line. Let's run that. Failed. And let's run that echo. Echo 0. What? That seems unfair, doesn't it? Let's run this then. Control D. That feels like that should have worked. So settings override has got my enable exit status set to 3. Jump over that. Can I hit F9, do you think? No. Exited with code 0, so yeah, that did not work. Why did that not work? That's gone to publish. Here's publish. Let's go to there, put that breakpoint back then on the game. You kind of feel like that should have worked. Is there I'm missing something obvious and you lot are just not telling me. I will not be impressed. Right, so enable exit status is still set to true. Self.settings exit status level is now set to 5. Oh, hold on a sec. And I'm back. My wife wanted to have a word. You thought I'd be finished by now, and she's probably right. I should have finished by now, but I'm intrigued. That should have stopped. That should not be set to 5 at that point, should it? Because exit status level. Oh, exit status level is supposed to be 3. Look. You're not paying attention. I'm not paying attention. Right, let's try that again. Nope, didn't work. Those did. 13. Oh yes, because there's the red square bracket, the red triangle. Yeah, that's a bit better, isn't it? Let's take out the V. Like that. So now if a user runs rst2pdf, an error happens. They see the word error, error/3, unknown directive type img, and most importantly, rst2pdf is now returning an error code back to the user. That's better. Incidentally, the way this works, it just throws these random sys exits all over the place, doesn't it? So my changes I made somewhere else earlier, I made a whole load of changes down Where's that return one? Maybe it is needed still. Oh yeah, so create PDF. Where's the call? The call's down here. I've got it to return the return code because I thought that's how these things work. I.e. that we should get create PDF to return the return code and then sysexit it. So when it errors here, I've done a return one. I'm kind of wondering whether you're supposed to just do sysexit wherever you need them. That seems to be the MO within a Python project. With this whole enable exit status thing. Not sure what I think about that. Anyone else know what the Pythonic way of doing status codes is on command line tools? I suppose I could create a PR for this and then see what the Python experts on the project think. We've got at least one. So what does the diff look like at the moment? Not that one, this one. Diff. So there's my settings override to status exit status level 3. There's where I add the enable exit status to true. There's debug info can go, obviously. And there's my return 1 instead of return. And then return 0, because it's always polite to finish a function with a return value if you are going to expect to return an integer. And then set return code and sysexit the return code. No, I still think that's better. Then maybe I shouldn't be sysexiting the return code here either. Maybe that's in the wrong place. Where's that done? That's done. You see, that just calls main. No, so main calls sysexit. So yeah, main is it's acceptable within main to call sysexit. So at the end of main, which is all the way down here, calling sysexit is probably acceptable, and that does make sense. Okay, we'll go with that. That's those log statements. There's one. That's out. And there's the other. Don't need that. Let's go back. Yeah. I'll get diff it and have a look. That's where we set the status level to 3. Enable exit status. There's a return 1. So let's git add git status. Can you see the bottom of this window? Okay. Probably. Git status. Git add rst2pdf. Create pdf.py. Git commit. Right. So I've got a set of hooks on my git commit setup via precommit.com, which seems to be the Python community's way to do git pre-commit hooks. And it does a whole load of testing. Looks like it didn't like something. So black failed. Black is the PEP8 thing. It says files were modified by this hook. So if I do a git status now, yes, it's modified create PDF. So git diff will tell me what it's changed. Oh, that's interesting. It wants a comma. So when you make a function call within Python, you're allowed a trailing comma if you're using each parameter. Okay, don't argue with the tool. Git add rst2pdf. Git commit. Try again. Seems it's happier this time. Lost all the pre-commit hooks. So set CLI return code if docutils errors. If capital I, if the docutils parser errors, then we should error 2. Okay. We should also expose this error code to the user. No, we did that happens automatically. Also, ensure we explicitly set the return code to 0 on success. Problem is that also means that this particular commit is doing 2 things, and I'm not happy about that. So let's break it up. Oops, not do it like that. Let's copy that. Let's do that and it'll abort. Right, so I'm going to use source tree because I know you can use git add -p, but I find that a pain to use rather than the GUI. So this is one of the few things I do use a GUI for. Right, so there's my changes. So let's unstage that hunk. Let's unstage those 2 lines and keep the remainder. Unstage that hunk too. Oh, and unstage that hunk. Okay, so let's just do that one commit. That one change there should be all this commit is. Git commit -v. Oh, it stashes for me. That's interesting. I've got a flu jab thing happening this morning, so I might have to go shortly. I suppose I should look up when that is. There's my calendar. Not quite yet. Isn't it? So just looking something up. No, not for another 40 or 50 minutes, so that's fine. Paste that. Set the command line. There we go. So that's a valid commit now. Diff. So Ken says that's nice, automatic stashing, not the flu jab. Yeah, well, the flu jab's nice too, because I take an immunosuppressant drug for a long-term chronic thing. So I'm quite in favour of having the vaccination for flu, particularly this year. It seems like a really good year to be getting one. So that is also good in my view. But yeah, the automatic stashing, this whole pre-commit thing seems quite clever. I've not seen it before. I only saw it because one of the members of the rst2pdf team is a Pythonista and is clearly much more hooked into the Python community and the way Python works and the way it's used nowadays. And precommit.com is where the tool is, I think. Might be a hyphen in that. Should we look? precommit.com without the F. Yeah, there we go. This thing here. It's multi-language, but I've only ever seen it used for Python. Well, I've only ever seen it used once now, so maybe it's used elsewhere. But this seems quite clever. You do something else. You can set it all up via a dot file, I think it is, somewhere in here. There you go, .precommitconfig.yaml, where you can see it's a YAML file. We're using Python 3, blah, 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 blah. We're using black. We're using a trailing white space test. Stuff. This is obviously something that Stephen has used before and knows how to set it up. And it looks like Ken does a whole load of bash with double ampersands between them. And yeah, that seems like a kludge, as you say, but does solve the problem. Gets you to where you want to be. You really should consider aliasing that, you know. Or maybe you have aliased it and you just looked it up for me. That would be an obvious thing to alias to rebase or something like that. I quite like that actually. I might steal that because I type it manually when I do a rebase. Clever. Yeah, so that's what precommit does. For this project, it does a whole load of stuff because that's what we want it to do. So here I'm setting the return code if we error in create PDF. So let's put that into a separate thing. Git add that, git commit -v. Do the pre-commits. Should pass still, because it's not like we've changed any source code. Insert explicitly. Return 1 on error in create PDF. And we log, let's create PDF, isn't it? When we log an error in create PDF, then we need to set the return code from the command line to 0. There we go. So that's the two changes we've done today. Git push -u origin 886. Now this isn't the entire change because we go back to create PDF. After we've done this publishy bit, further down here we do a whole load more stuff. If something down here errors, like here, that should that, oh, is that, oh, that's not an error, that's an info. It's not really an, ooh, I don't like that, that's a separate problem. Ooh. So if someone has explicitly asked for a template, that template doesn't exist, we use our default and just let them know we've done that. It break BC, but really we should exit on that error. Because if you wanted to use a custom template and it's not there, you probably don't want the default, do you? Let's face it. It's one of those bits of magic I intensely dislike about apps. But that is definitely a different problem. And I'll need to think about that a bit more. Blah, 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 blah. Other stuff happening here. There's another published secondary doctrine going on. If that errors, what happens if there's an error there? We probably need to pick that up. This is a hack. There's a funny. And what if one of these errors? How do we tell? I kind of feel like this is going to be an ongoing process before we actually get everything. Because we, ideally, in the real world, in my world, anything that errors throws an exception, I can't see an exception right at the very end and just set my exit code. But that's not how this code has been written, so no such luck here. Anything here could error or warn or something that I don't know about. I wonder what that does. Fancy doc template, that sounds fun, doesn't it? If F is none, return. Oh, maybe that's settable. Who knows? See what I mean? There's quite a lot in here that still needs to be done before I can say that any errors are failing. Are caught. Right, I mean, not failing. Obviously, the errors are failing. What I mean is the errors are caught and we return a status code that is not 0. On there. Oh, we raised an error there, so that's probably cool. Yeah, so I need to look at all that. I'm not going to do that today. I think we'll call that it for this morning because it's already 10 o'clock, which means I'm not going to get any work done this morning before I go for my flu jab. But such is life. That's quite interesting though. As you can tell, I don't know Python that well, even though I am the maintainer of a Python project. Keeping this project going, making this project better is way more important to me than my inabilities with the language. And obviously, as I code in it, I will get better at it. So I hope you lot all have a good day as well. Enjoy what comes your way, and with any luck, I'll be back on Monday to do some Go stuff. Unlikely to do anything over the weekend, but you never know. I might actually go and do some more of this over the weekend, in which case I'll probably turn the stream on so that you can all watch me flail around some more in PyCharm. Have a good day.